Eventually, he heard his captors talking to each other, and the van made a series of sharp turns and came to a halt. Uncaring hands pulled him out. His cramped legs gave way, and as he slumped to the ground, the men cursed. More hands clawed at his legs, and he was carried bodily. He heard the crunch of boots on broken glass, then the sound of a door being thrown open. The footsteps became muffled, and he realized that he was being carried across a carpeted floor, and then he heard the sound of bolts being drawn back, and he was hustled down a flight of wooden stairs. More bolts rattled, and without warning he was thrown forward. His legs were still weak, and he fell to the ground, his chest heaving from the effort of breathing through the thick, foul-smelling sackcloth. He heard the door crash shut behind him, and the grate of rusty bolts, and then he was alone in the cellar. More alone than he'd ever been in his life. The doorbell rang just as Catherine Freeman stepped into the shower, and she cursed. She stood under the steaming hot spray and closed her eyes, enjoying the feel of the water as it cascaded over her skin. The doorbell rang again, more urgently this time, and she knew that whoever it was wouldn't go away. She climbed carefully out of the shower stool and dried herself with a large pink towel. Downstairs the dog barked, but it was a welcoming yelp rather than a warning growl. Catherine checked herself in the mirror. She tied her shoulder-length blonde hair up so that she wouldn't get it too wet in the shower, and she shook it free. "This had better be important," she told her reflection. The last thing she wanted was to go downstairs and find two earnest young men in grey suits asking her if she'd been saved. She pursed her lips and examined the skin around her neck. "Catherine Freeman, you sure look good for a 35-year-old broad," she said, and stuck out her tongue. She threw the towel into a large wicker basket and picked up a purple bathrobe. The doorbell rang again as she ran down the stairs. I'm coming," she called. If it was Mormons, God help them, she thought. Buffy, a golden retriever, was sitting by the front door, her tail swishing from side to side. "A smart dog would have opened the door," said Catherine, and Buffy chuffed in agreement. Catherine yanked the door open to find Maury Anderson standing on the porch. He was wearing a plaid sports jacket and brown trousers, and his tie looked as if it had been knotted in a hurry. "Maury, I wasn't expecting you," she said, frowning. Anderson said nothing, and Catherine suddenly realized that something was wrong. Her hand flew up to her throat. "Oh, my God, it's Tony, isn't it? What's happened? Oh, my God, what's happened?" Her voice rose, and Anderson stepped forward to put his hands on her shoulders. "It's okay," he said. He's dead, isn't he?" She began to shake, and Buffy growled, sensing that something was wrong. "No, he's not dead, I promise you, he's not dead. As far as I know, he's not even hurt," Anderson said. His voice was quiet and soothing, as if he were trying to comfort an injured child. Catherine pushed him away. "What do you mean? As far as you know? Maury, what's happened? Tell me." "Let's go inside, Catherine. Let's sit down." Catherine's robe had fallen open, but neither she nor Anderson was aware of her nakedness. Anderson closed the door and held her arm as he led her to one of the couches that straddled the fireplace. He sat her down, and then without asking, he went over to the drinks cabinet and poured her a large measure of brandy with a splash of Coke. He handed it to her, and she cupped it in both hands. She looked up at him, still fearing the worst. "Tony's been